in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Africa, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. America. Tujikaze. Greetings, beautiful people. My name is Simon Okelo, and I'm excited to be here with you for episode 57 of the African Father in America podcast. I am excited to be here with an amazing leader, human being, and her name is Kellina Powell. And today you're going to learn why she's, a deaf kid with big dreams. And, Kellina Powell is a young entrepreneur who loves to help people with their personal growth and educate others about the deaf community. Little do people know that Kellina actually is a deaf of hearing. She became deaf when she was 4 years old, and she just graduated with a psychology degree, and now into her online coaching business, and is working on her book. Today we are going to learn about her story. We are going to learn about why she loves to help people with their personal growth and educate others about the deaf community. We are going to learn what she thinks about fatherhood. And we are also going to learn how you, our viewers, can stay connected with Kellina. And then Kellina will ask me one question. But before we get to that, if you're watching this live on YouTube, I want you to if you're watching it live, I want you to use the hashtag #TeamLive. That way I will know whether your comments came from the live stream. But if you're watching this later on as a replay, I would like for you to use the hashtag #TeamReplay. And also just write for us the country or city where you're joining us from. We will be reading some of your comments along the way during our conversation today. Without further ado, I want you also to subscribe to the African Father in America podcast here on YouTube, and follow me on Twitter at Okelo Javan. Kellina, I would love for you to share with us a moment that you can remember between the time when you are 8 to 12 years old that kind of brought to you this vision that one day I will be at the forefront of advocating for the deaf community, and I will be, graduating with a psychology degree and working on an online coaching business, and, working on a book, Can you take us to a moment during your childhood that made you feel this super strong and super ready?
Thank you so much, Simon. So yeah, like Simon mentioned, I'm a deaf person. I became deaf at the age of 4. It was it was very challenging, and it was nothing that was talked about in school or any or even any resources. So when I got older, I was bullied a lot, and I didn't get any. I got support from my mom, my aunt, and my grandma. However, it was very difficult, like when I was growing up, because nobody was educated about disability in general or someone who was deaf. And having that experience, it really taught me how to advocate for myself more when I got older. And I felt like it was enough is enough. And I wanted to advocate more for the deaf community and, help other people who been through what I went through, and help and teach the next generation how to be more inclusive and how to help someone who have a disability. So because of my experience that I had when I was in school and outside of school, it was not very positive. So I noticed that not everybody who have a disability are more advocate like how I am on Clubhouse, speaking up and saying, like I'm a deaf person, you guys need to moderate him properly. So I think that having that experience in my past taught me how to be more African, and that's why I'm advocating for the deaf community, because no one talks about it.
Wow. I'm so lucky that you chose to have this conversation with me. I remember growing up, there was a little girl in my community in Kenya. I grew up in a place called Manyata, and it was a busy place. There were a lot of bicycles. People were transporting themselves on bicycles more than cars. And Kadugu, a lot of people didn't understand her because she was deaf, and a lot of people also bullied her, and because my family and her family were close, we played together, and over time we learned how to communicate with her. But what you just shared reminded me of Kadugu, and I just wanted you to paint for us a picture of, despite these challenges, some of the things that you've been able to accomplish, that make you feel that even though you've gone through such a difficult time, it's worth it. Do you feel that it's worth it?
It was a difficult time. I would say it was mostly when I was young, but mostly when I was young until like I graduated high school. I said that was like the more less difficulty I would get into, because like I feel like I was more advocate for myself more then than I was when I was little, because again we were kids, we didn't know the difference and what can we do. So a lot of like the difficulty that I had, the more difficulty I had was definitely accepting my hearing aid. Not having to cover my ears all the time. So I think that was something that I had difficulty with when I was growing up.
Yeah. How did you adjust? Like, how did you? Can you share with us some of the things that you did to adjust and accept? Using your hearing aids and just accept the new reality.
Um, it took me years to overcome it. It's not easy, and I would say I started showing my hearing aids. I would say when I was 20 years old, so literally like 3 years ago. And the reason why I started showing my hearing aids is because I was in school, so I'm in university, and I was walking one day, and there was a person, like she was deaf as well, and she had her hearing aid, and she was covering it so much, but she was asking for a hearing aid battery, and then I was like, oh, like here you go, and so she asked me a question. She said, how come you don't ever show up like your hearing aid? Like it's so cool, and I had different design on my hearing aid, so it's like a zebra. And so she was like, it's so cool. Like, why don't you show it off? And I was just like, no, I just don't want people asking me questions. And like, there's a lot of ignorant people. Like, I was very I was not even thinking. And and so she's like, no, like, show it off. You just never know who you come across to. What if there's a little kid that passed by you and that actually is wearing hair and they just happen not to see that you're wearing hair and they couldn't connect with you then. So, so that's when I had a conversation with her and we were talking, and I think that day, that's when I started showing my hairnet off like crazy. And then I remember one day, I think a month after, I ran into a kid that was wearing hairnet, and he saw my hairnet and he was just like, "Oh my God, that's so cool! There's actually someone like me." It was it was really cute. And then from there on, I started showing off my hairnet like crazy.
Wow, wow, that's so amazing. I think that moment kind of reminds me of, why you love to help people with their personal growth and educating the community about the deaf community's, plight, the plight of people in the deaf community. Um, do you think that moment with that kid that you ran into could have been the inspiration to you wanting to help people, or is there a different thing that inspired you to wanting to help and help people with their personal growth, educate people, and help people in the deaf community. Was that the moment, or was there a different thing that happened that inspired you to do what you do now?
I would say it's actually the same story from
Mm,
that.
mm,
And I actually had a friend who is deaf as well, and she was going through some challenging accepting herself who she was, and
mm,
she didn't know who to go for, where's the resource, where is the resource, and she didn't know, and I felt like, oh my god, there's not that much resources for us deaf community to go to,
mm,
and it's very rare to find one. So I feel like because of that experience I had with my friend and that little kid,
mm,
that's right there I knew like I want to advocate for the deaf community. I want to help more people. I want to make sure that a lot of parent people are educated about the deaf community, because I mean the only way the hearing world will understand and be educated about us is one of us deaf community actually advocate for ourselves and be out there with the hearing world.
yeah. Wow. So now, I feel that you've learned a lot since you started helping people in the deaf community, and I wanted you to share with me, uh, you know, an example of one of the things that you've enjoyed the most since you started helping people. Uh, First of all, people who are not deaf to understand, the plight of the deaf community and how they can be more supportive, and how they can, sometimes people don't treat deaf people with respect. They don't, they there's a tendency to not give them the space and allow them to just exist the way everybody else exists. Sometimes
Yep.
someone might be deaf, but they don't need your help. They're self-sufficient. um and I just wanted you to share with us, like, your confidence, your engagement. Since we connected, I've just been, you're amazing, and so I just want to learn more. I want to learn more about how, like, what are some of the stories that have made you so, uh you know so strong as a leader, and so calm and so composed, as a human being. You're so content, you're just ready for anything.
I mean, confidence is it's very very hard to like have it with you, especially
Yeah,
if you're trying to be an advocate.
yeah.
And I wouldn't say the confidence I have. I would say the experience I had in the past that
Mm,
helped me grow who I am today.
mm,
And I would say if it wasn't for my past, I would not be here. I feel like if I had that much mistakes in my past, then I would have able to help other people who was like me and myself and
mm,
build that confidence. The skills I learned is that if you let someone walk over you, your voice will not be heard. And
mm,
I feel like that's with a lot of people, is that people are super scared because they don't know what the outcome will be or what the results will be. And for me, I was such a super shy person. I would not be on this at all. And I would be super shy. I'd be like, no, I can't do this. And, I guess because of my experience with the past I had, especially being bullied, I would say the bully part definitely helped me build that confidence more. And because I would consistently move in school, so
mm,
that helped me build that confidence to meet new people every day. So every day I was meeting new people. So I had to rebuild my whole confidence all over again and work with different types of people. So
mm.
that's how I built my confidence. So
So do you teach other people how to build their confidence then?
yes, I do.
Oh, wow. uh Teach me how to build my confidence.
I mean, it depends on the situation, but my goal is I always tell people it's something that people don't really think about. I
Yeah.
always tell people, let's say, for example, tomorrow, you never know, knock on wood,
Mm-hmm.
you go home to God or any other religion. So I always tell my people, I said, okay, let's say, for example, you get hit by a bus or get into a car accident. then what are you gonna say to yourself when you get up? Then you be like, oh, I should have lived my life the way I should have,
Mm-hmm.
instead of thinking about what other people are thinking. And so I feel like when I tell people that, and I always tell people, tomorrow's not a promise. You have to live your life to the fullest because you just never know.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I tell people that, they're like, oh, wow, that's actually true because you just never know. And there's so many people that, that died out of a sudden, no, out of nowhere, car accidents, anything can happen to us. You just never know when the time comes. So that's something that that's how I help people to build that confidence, because when they think that tomorrow's not a promise and keep building that, they're gonna be like, yeah, like who cares? I'm gonna keep doing what I want to do. So they think of that. So that's something, my tip and skills I give to people to help them to be more confident about who they are and themselves.
Wow, thank you so much. Now I want you to, share with me what your thoughts are about a father figure. I started this podcast to inspire black fathers to be stronger pillars to our community, starting with their own families. And I wanted you to also think about how, black bodies are treated in this world right now, not with a lot of respect. And black fathers are, sometimes perceived to not be responsible. I wanted you to just talk to black fathers, let's say that you're facing them. I want you to give them a few words of encouragement and tell them how you feel about them, and I also want you to know that uh, there is someone here called Hudenesh, and she says, I am proud of you, Kellina, defining who you are, and educated and other. And she says, thank you.
You're welcome. You're
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah. So share with me just your thoughts, about fatherhood, and also give a message to, black fathers worldwide. Speak to them.
Um, I actually I lost someone very important to me. He was like my father, my godfather. He passed away unfortunately. Um, and with him, he actually helped me stay out of trouble. Um, and my advice is for a black father is, be very close with your child. I feel like nowadays black fathers are improving parenting, and it's really important for, I want fathers out there to know that you are important as much mothers are important to the child's life. And because, if you're missing if a child is missing a piece of two parents, how are they supposed to grow? And I just want fathers out there to not to be afraid of, getting out of the comfort zone, being with the kids more. And I want father to, especially black fathers, I want them to know that they are important too.
Mm-hmm.
And because, I noticed a lot of times, a lot of people, like especially like black fathers, they feel like they can't do certain things.
Mm-hmm.
But I always wanted to encourage black fathers that you can do anything. And, for such as me who's studying psychology, I know it's that like a lot of black fathers are not always there for the child. But for me, like, how the generation grow, I see a lot more black fathers more inclusive and more involved in the children's life. So my advice for fathers is, you are important to us, especially of your children.
Wow, thank you so much. If you are a black brother, whether you're in Africa, whether you are elsewhere in the world, you've heard Kellina's advice. If you're joining us now, my name is Simon Okelo, and I have been having a wonderful conversation here with Kellina Powell. And Kellina, we have another guest on YouTube who is called Kevin Broadley, and he says so proud of her. She's a strong black woman. You have a lot of fans out there. Thank you so much, Kevin, for joining us, and Udenesh, thank you for joining us. Now I want to welcome everybody who is joining us right now. Today we've just been talking about Kellina's story. We've talked about, you know, how she grew up and what inspired her to do the work she's doing now. We talked about some of the work she has done to support people with their personal growth, especially supporting people in the deaf community. And then we've also talked about, a few words that Kellina had for black fathers worldwide. Now, Kellina, share with our viewers how they can stay connected with you.
Everybody can connect me on my Instagram, which is @QueenPass. My website is being created right now, so I don't have a website just yet, but it's coming up. I would love everybody to contact me through Instagram, and I also have a Twitter account in case if anybody else want to reach out to me there, which is Cutie Kellina. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Kellina. Kellina and I connected through Clubhouse, and Clubhouse has just been a good place for me to connect with people. And I'm just lucky that I was able to connect with you, Kellina, because I just feel so inspired. Since we met, your diligence and your, just your ability to even meet with me and have this live stream right now at midnight just shows your dedication to what you do. So, yeah, now is your turn to ask me one question before we end our conversation today.
For sure. I just wanted to say, what is your plan after COVID? I know COVID went crazy. What is your plan?
Oh, well, that's a good question. My plan after COVID is what I'm doing now. I feel like I was ready for COVID, I was ready for the post-COVID world, like 4 months ago, the reason why I started this podcast is so that I could do it from home and I didn't have to go anywhere as long as I can and stay very engaged with the world, So I feel like after COVID, I want to be able to reach a wider audience, but remotely, So I want to, perfect my skills in engaging people virtually so that I can have also minimal impact on the environment, so that instead of using money to pay for gas, I can I can send that money and plant more trees in Kenya. I love planting trees, and I can also create jobs in Africa where the money we make here in the West can go a long way, but not in giving donations, but creating jobs. Instead of giving people the fish, we give them the tools, the nets, the fishing rods, so that they can go fishing. Then they can teach their kids how to fish.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the mission. That's the bigger mission that I am on. So it's just a continuation of the work. I'm excited to also work with other people like you, younger people. I want to share the knowledge. Like, I want to share how I started this, and and the vision that I have for it, and how I can't do it by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just want to be able to build a more stronger community around the work I've been doing, in order for it to thrive.
Right.
That's a really good question. Yeah. What's your plan after coronavirus? Yeah. What's your plan?
I want to travel. That is my plan.
Yeah. Well, I think you have a better plan. You have a much better plan because, I would love to travel too, but I know that my reality will not allow me to travel, Yeah, I think I'll be traveling maybe once towards the end of this year, and then, maybe in the next few years I'll start traveling more, because I have little kids, I can't travel too much yet, Yeah, but I'm a traveler. I've always been, and I'll always travel, So now I'm
Yeah.
just making the connections, remotely. I just want to make a lot of good connections, strong connections. By the time I travel, I don't need to pay for hotel or anything.
Right.
Yeah, Udenesh, thank you
Exactly.
so much. Hey, Udenesh, can you confirm if you are one of my sisters from the Tigray community? That way we can talk about that briefly because we have 5 more minutes. Kellina, have you been following up? Have you been following the situation in Tigray and the genocide that is going on there? Have you heard
My,
about
my
it?
no, I
T-
haven't heard about
yeah,
it.
Tigray is in Ethiopia. Tigray is in the northern region of Ethiopia, and there's a genocide going on there. um, you, you know, you need to read about it. You need to look for the hashtag Tigray genocide, and Tigray is Tigray. Look it up, and then um, so Udenesh, who is joining us now on the chat, is from the Tigray region. Um, she will. We need to talk. I think it would be very powerful if we involved you and the deaf community in the campaign to help the women, especially in Tigray, who are some of the people who are suffering the most as a result of um, the genocide that is being meted upon them. So remind me to introduce you to Udenesh, and Omra Tigray is an organization that is also helping a lot. But if you are watching this on YouTube, I want you to, if you're watching it live, please use the hashtag Team Live so that as I go and look in the comments, I can, engage with you and know when you are watching this video. And if you are going to be watching this as a replay, also use the hashtag Team Replay. That way, we can build two teams around the African Father in America podcast. But also let me know where you're joining me from, your city, the country you're joining me from. I just want to be able to track that down and, build audiences in various parts of the world or even within the US. But I really want to thank you, Kellina, for making the time. I know it's late in Canada, where you're joining me from, in Toronto, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, we'll do it another time. I'm excited to just follow up with you once you work on your book, and whenever there's anything else you want us to engage in, I'm happy to host you here. But with that, I just want to thank you all for joining us. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at Okelo Javan, and also subscribe to the African Father in America podcast here on YouTube and also on iTunes as well. I'm just so grateful, and Udenesh, thank you for joining us. It meant so much. Kevin Bradley, thank you for joining us. It meant so much. I'm just so grateful that you're both here with us. We are just going to wrap up in a minute. Kellina, do you have anything to share that I may have not asked that you want to share with the viewers and the listeners?
I just want to say I do have a book coming out. It's just a little short brief. It's about me and my deaf experience. So my goal is to educate people to see what it's like to be deaf in the hand world. So that's a little bit of brief. But the book, my goal is to get the book released on my birthday, which is May 29th. So I would definitely tell you, Sammy, when I get my book released, and that way Sammy can tell everybody that's been coming out.
That's wonderful. We'll announce it here. We'll just have another conversation here. That's so crazy. I'm also publishing a book this year, but it's on December 29th. So you are May 29th, and the one I'm working on is December 29th. So let's talk outside. We might be accountability partners, All right. Well, thank you all for watching. This is deeply appreciated. This is Simon Okelo, and today's conversation is going to end. I wish it would have stayed a little longer, but again, we have to move on to other things. So we will be seeing you here again next Saturday at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thank you all so much. Have a beautiful, beautiful weekend. So before we wind up, I just want to say that Udenesh, who has been with us for today's live stream, is in Seattle, and she says thank you. And she's also just sending a message of request for support. So look up Tigray Genocide on Twitter and on all social media platforms, and just show support, retweet, and follow the links in the posts that are being put out by Omna Tigray, and show them support. Udenesh, let's connect. Thank you so much. Peace and love. Thank you. Father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.